You feel like you've been searching your whole life for the perfect white cake recipe. We think we found it. That's good news for you and for a lot of other home bakers out there, including our food expert, our food friend, Cy Foster. So this is an achievement then after a lifelong quest to find the perfect white cake.
It is important
You've
business,
been after this
right?
for a while?
I have. I've tried so many cake recipes and so many different methods of making a white cake, and it's a little tricky here with our elevation.
Sure.
So I just decided I'm going to do this.
You're going to do it.
Find the perfect white cake.
And we all just waited with bated breath for Cy to do it. And she has first established kind of the standard. What are the specs, so to speak, for a good white cake?
Okay. Well, I think it needs to be light, but not too airy. You don't want it to taste like a box cake mix, right?
Right.
But you also don't want it to be too heavy. If it's too heavy, it's not going to raise up. It's just, it's going to feel more like a pound cake instead of a regular white cake.
There's a balance
right?
between that density and that fluffiness.
Right. So I think that that's important. I think that you want it so that you can, I wanted to develop a cake too. This is always one of my criteria. Is I want to make something that everyone can make at home. So I don't want to put something out there that you can only make if you're this really experienced baker.
If you have a food scale and if you have this,
yeah. So I wanted it to be something that we could all achieve at home and that would work every time.
So the secret, you say, comes down to the eggs. To the eggs,
right.
Teach us about this.
Okay, so I tried a lot of different methods, including using like sour cream and buttermilk and all of these different things. And then I found that when I whipped the egg whites separately and didn't use the yolks and folded them into the batter, I came out with this cake that works every time.
So whipped and folded. Describe what we're seeing, and this is the difference.
So in that photo, you're seeing the cake that's smaller.
On the left.
Right, on the left. That cake was made with eggs, and they weren't whipped. They weren't separated, and the egg whites weren't whipped. On the right-hand side, that's what you get when you just add whipped egg whites.
There it is.
So it's so simple. It seems so simple, The
difference is pretty dramatic.
It's huge. It's huge. And you come out with a cake, the difference in size of your cake is, you're going to have this little kind of flat cake versus this really pretty raised up cake.
You're going to have a sad cake versus a beautiful cake. So the air makes all the difference.
It does. It makes all the difference. And it's such a simple thing. So all I do is whip up the egg whites, and I've already done that here. So one of the tricks with whipping your egg whites, if you feel like you're a little intimidated by this, make sure your bowl is clean. You don't want any grease in the bowl at all. Your bowl and your beaters. And you can do this with a hand mixer as well. If you get the eggs to where they're room temperature, that's really helpful. The whites whip up nicer. And you're going to get a lot better product if your whites are whipped really stiff and if they're at room temperature.
I love how technical she is. This makes me feel like a food scientist right along with you.
It makes a huge difference. So all we do, this is the batter that's already made. And
anything unique about this?
No, this is just the batter. It's just butter and flour, cake flour. I really like this brand, this Bob's Red Mill. I've tried all the brands, and that's been my favorite. I think it's usually less expensive per ounce than the others as well.
Love that.
So I just put the egg whites in, and then all you do once you get the egg whites in.
Those fluffy little darlings.
So you don't want to stick this back in your mixer. You just want to fold these in. So when we're talking about folding, you know what folding is, right, Brooke? I'm going to let you fold that in.
I am so proud right now.
Okay, just fold them in. And the thing is when you think about this, you don't want to deflate the egg whites again, right? So that's why you wouldn't stick them back into the beater.
Keep the air.
Right. And so you just mix it until you don't see any more of the big, pieces of egg white, and then it's ready to go. So that's it. That's the method. That's the secret to getting this perfect white cake.
Okay, what about, we've nailed the secret. What about, let's go beyond that to some accessories, if you will. What about the cake pans? Does that make a difference?
I think the cake pans make a difference. If you buy your cake pans in the grocery store, they all fit into one neat stack,
It's convenient.
Yes, but these have straight sides on them, and they're usually 2 inches high. You're not going to have a problem with overflow. And you can buy these on Amazon. I have a link on this recipe to buy these through Amazon. You can buy these I've bought them at TJ Maxx, Ross discount stores. But the key is, Gigi's is a great resource for cake pans. They shouldn't fit inside of each other, because if they do, then they're slightly sloped.
Oh my
okay,
goodness.
and you're not going
See?
to get a straight cake.
See these details?
Okay?
Is that just a 9-inch
Yep.
standard?
This is a 9-inch,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
And then I buy the cake liners, but for years, all I did was took a piece of wax or parchment paper, put it on there, traced it around, cut it out,
So
and
you
put
do
it
use
inside.
the parchment,
Yeah.
okay.
So always, always, always use a liner, because
Okay.
if you don't, it's just not worth it. If your cake sticks and then,
Right.
you know, I mean, you've gone to all that work
Right,
and
the
then your cake
aesthetics
sticks.
are part of it. Keep it pretty.
So this is a big deal. If you have a cake food scale, great. I just weigh them and make sure that they're even, because sometimes you think you're getting the even amount, an even amount in both pans, and you're not. You've got way more in one pan than the other. So if you want your layers to be even, just weigh them. It's super simple.
Let's go to frosting because it looks gorgeous. Do you freeze your cake before you frost it?
Yes, I try to. If I don't have time, sometimes I don't, and I just go ahead and frost it. But it's really best. You won't get crumbs in your frosting. I learned this from Courtney.
Cakes by Courtney.
Love Courtney.
We love her too.
And if you freeze it and do a crumb coat first, or stick it in a really cold fridge, then go back and frost it again, you won't have problems with crumbs all over your frosting.
How are you getting those cool lines?
Oh, with this lovely little
Around the
tool, which
edge.
Courtney also told me about.
Teach us.
It's because I really am not good at decorating cakes. So all you do is you put the frosting on, and then you just turn the platter as you go, the cake plate, or whatever you have it on, and it makes this lovely little design.
Yeah, and I have to say, this is a sincere compliment. You say you're not great at decorating or whatnot. I feel like this is a really beautiful but approachable mom cake.
Thank you. It is. It is. This is a simple cake. Everyone can make this cake. So.
When Cy first posted it on her Instagram, I commented and I said, it reminds me of that scene in Pollyanna at the bazaar. Remember with the gloves when they're slicing the big cake and they're handing it out?
Yes.
Let them eat cake. All right, you have this recipe, all of the methods and the techniques you've shared, plus more on your website.
Right, on aboundfulkitchen.com.
We'll link you over. And I made your basil couscous last week and took it to a family party. Hit, hit, hit. All your best recipes will be there on her website, which we will link for you at studio5.ksl.com. Thank you, Cy. The perfect white cake has been served.